Chinedu's stomach growled as he arranged his paintings along the roadside in Lekki Phase 1. 27 years old and still selling art on the street like a beginner. His fine arts degree from Yaba Tech felt worthless now, 3 years after graduation, as he struggled to sell even one painting a week. "Brothers, how much for this one?" a young man asked, pointing at a vibrant sunset over Lagos. 15,000 naira. The man laughed and walked away. Too expensive for street art. Too cheap to be taken seriously by galleries. Chinedu was trapped in the middle. Too educated to beg, too poor to matter. His phone buzzed. Another text from his landlord. "Chinedu, last warning. Pay 50k arrears by Friday or move out." Friday was in 3 days. He had 8,000 naira to his name. That evening, exhausted and hungry, he was packing up his unsold paintings when a sleek black Range Rover pulled up. The tinted window rolled down, revealing a woman who made him forget his hunger. She was stunning. Deep brown skin, elegant natural hair swept into a sophisticated low bun, sharp cheekbones, and eyes that assessed him with businesslike precision. She wore a cream designer blazer and gold jewelry that screamed wealth. Mid to late 40s, Chinedu guessed, but aging like fine wine. "Those paintings," she said, her voice smooth and commanding. "They're yours." "Yes, Ma. Original artwork." "I can see that." She stepped out of the vehicle, and Chinedu's breath caught. She was tall, poised, radiating confidence that only came from power. "You have talent. Raw, unrefined, but real talent. What's your name?" "Chinedu, Ma. Chinedu Okafor." "Adiz Nwosu." She didn't offer her hand, just studied his paintings with the eye of someone who knew art. "How much for all of them?" Chinedu's heart raced. He had 12 paintings. "Ma, altogether, maybe 150,000. "I'll give you 200,000. But not for the paintings." She turned to face him directly. "For a conversation. Dinner. Tonight. Are you hungry?" Every alarm bell in Chinedu's head went off. Beautiful, rich, older woman offering money for dinner. But his stomach growled again, and the landlord's text burned in his mind. "Yes, Ma. I'm hungry." "Good. Put your paintings in your vehicle." She glanced around, seeing no car. "I take Danfo, Ma." Something flickered in her eyes. Pity or calculation, he couldn't tell. "My driver will take your paintings to your address. You're coming with me." The restaurant was in a hotel Chinedu had only seen on Instagram, the Oriental Hotel in Lekki. As they walked through the lobby, he became painfully aware of his worn jeans and faded shirt compared to the wealthy patrons in designer everything. Adiz noticed his discomfort. "Relax. You're with me. Nobody will question you." She was right. When she walked, people moved. When she spoke, staff rushed to obey. They were seated in a private section overlooking the pool. "Order whatever you want," she said, not even looking at the menu. Chinedu ordered carefully, jollof rice with chicken, trying not to seem too hungry. Adiz ordered grilled fish and salad, plus a bottle of wine that probably cost more than his monthly rent. "So, Chinedu Okafor, tell me about yourself." Over dinner, the story spilled out. His fine arts degree. His dreams of being recognized. The galleries that wouldn't take him seriously because he had no connections. His parents' death in a car accident 5 years ago, leaving him alone with nothing but his talent. Adiz listened without interrupting, sipping her wine. When he finished, she leaned back. "You're talented but naive," she said bluntly. "In Lagos, talent alone means nothing. It's about who you know, who sponsors you, who puts you in front of the right people. You could paint like Picasso, but on that roadside, you'll die unknown." "I know, Ma. But I don't have connections." "I do." She set down her glass. "I'm CEO of Nwosu Holdings. Real estate, imports, hotels. I'm worth about 30 billion naira, give or take. I know every gallery owner, every art collector, every socialite who buys art to show off. One word from me could change your life." Chinedu's heart pounded. "Ma, what do you want from me?" "Honesty. Good. I like that. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I'm 47 years old. Divorced. My son is 25, living in London with his father. I built my empire from nothing after my marriage ended. I have money, power, respect. But I'm also lonely. Ma. Let me finish. I don't want a husband. Been there, hated it. I don't want complications or commitments. But I miss companionship. Conversations. Someone to attend events with me who isn't just another business associate. Someone who. She paused. Shares my bed occasionally without demanding my soul. Chinedu felt his face burn. You want a sugar baby? I want an arrangement. Her voice was clinical, businesslike. You become my companion. You accompany me to events when I need someone presentable. You provide company, conversation, intimacy, whatever I need. In exchange, I pay you 500,000 naira monthly, rent a proper apartment for you, buy you decent clothes, and introduce you to people who can launch your art career. 6-month contract, renewable if we're both satisfied. 500,000 naira monthly. Chinedu made that in 6 months of street sales, maybe. Rent paid. Clothes. Career opportunities. It was everything he needed. But the price. I'm not asking you to love me, Adiz continued, reading his hesitation. I'm asking for a transaction. Business. Can you do business, Chinedu? He thought of his landlord. His empty stomach before this meal. His paintings gathering dust on the street. His dead parents who'd sacrificed everything for his education. Yes, Ma, he heard himself say. I can do business. Good. She pulled out a sleek leather folder. This is a contract. Read it. Sign it. My lawyer will contact you tomorrow for formalities. And Chinedu. Call me Adiz. Ma makes me feel ancient. That night, lying on his thin mattress in his cramped room, Chinedu stared at the contract. It was all there in legal language. Compensation, expectations, confidentiality clauses. At the bottom, a line for his signature. He thought about what his mother would say. What his friends would think. What he was becoming. Then he thought about eating 3 meals a day. About painting in a real studio. About having a chance, just one chance, at his dreams. He signed. Oh my God. Did Chinedu just sign up to be a sugar baby? A 27-year-old artist with a 47-year-old billionaire. If you're shocked right now, smash that like button and subscribe to AfriTales By Annabelle. Comment below, would you take this deal if you were broke and desperate? Next chapter shows what happens when he moves into her world, and things get complicated. Hit that notification bell. The apartment Adiz rented for Chinedu was in Parkview Estate, Ikoyi. 2 bedrooms, modern furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lagos. The rent alone was probably 3 million naira annually, more than he'd earned in his entire life. This is too much, he'd said when Adiz's assistant showed him the place. It's not for you. It's for me, Adiz had replied coolly. When I visit, I expect certain standards. Consider it a work requirement. The first month was awkward. Chinedu attended events on her arm, charity galas, business dinners, art exhibitions. She introduced him as a talented artist I'm mentoring, and nobody questioned it. Why would they? Rich women sponsored young artists all the time. At night, when she called him to her Banana Island mansion, he'd steel himself and remember, this is business. Just business. But Adiz wasn't what he expected. She wasn't demanding or cruel. She was funny, telling stories about corrupt politicians and fake society people with wicked accuracy. She was brilliant, discussing global economics and business strategy with ease. And she was surprisingly lonely. My son Obiora calls once a month, maybe, she said one night after wine, lying in her bed beside him. He's angry I divorced his father. Blames me for everything. Sometimes I wonder if having him was worth it. You don't mean that. Don't I? She turned to look at him. I gave up my 20s raising a child while his father cheated and drank. When I finally had the courage to leave, Obiora chose his father. Went to London and barely speaks to me. Tell me, Chinedu, was that worth it? He didn't have an answer. He just held her hand, and she didn't pull away. Somewhere around the 3rd month, things shifted. She'd asked his opinion on a business decision, and he'd given honest advice based on his mother's old trading wisdom. She'd followed it, and it worked. She started calling him not just for events and intimacy, but for conversation. He started looking forward to her calls. "You're different from the boys I thought you'd be," she said one evening in his apartment. She'd started coming there instead of always summoning him to her place. "What did you think I'd be? Greedy. Always asking for more money, more gifts. But you haven't asked me for anything beyond our arrangement." "Because I'm not a beggar," Chinedu said quietly. "My pride is all I have left. I won't lose that too." She'd kissed him then, not with the practiced detachment of their arrangement, but with something real. And he'd kissed her back the same way. That was the night everything changed. For weeks later, Adiz sat in her private bathroom, staring at 3 positive pregnancy tests lined up on the marble counter. Her hands trembled. Impossible. She was 47. Her period had been irregular for a year, perimenopause, her doctor said. She'd assumed that night they'd been careless didn't matter because getting pregnant at her age was nearly impossible. But here it was. 3 pink positive lines, mocking her. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no." She'd raised Obiora alone while married to a drunk. She'd fought through diapers and terrible twos and rebellious teenage years. She was done. She'd finally built her empire, finally had freedom, finally lived for herself. And now this. At 47. With a 27-year-old sugar baby. The scandal alone would destroy her reputation. But more than that, she didn't want to be a mother again. She didn't want sleepless nights and baby drama and watching another child grow up resenting her. She called Chinedu. "Come to my house. Now." When Chinedu arrived, he found Adiz pacing her living room like a caged animal, still in her business suit from earlier. "What's wrong? Are you okay?" "I'm pregnant." The words came out flat, devoid of emotion. Chinedu froze. "What? Pregnant? With your child? At 47 years old?" She laughed bitterly. The universe has a sick sense of humor. His mind raced. Pregnant. A baby. His baby. Despite everything, the poverty, the arrangement, the weirdness of their situation, joy bloomed in his chest. "Adiz, this is a disaster." She turned to face him, her eyes hard. "This is a complete disaster. Do you understand what this means? The blogs will have a field day. 47-year-old CEO knocked up by 27-year-old sugar baby. My business will suffer. My reputation will be destroyed. My son will be mortified. And I will be trapped raising another child when I'm supposed to be planning retirement." "Or," Chinedu said carefully, "we could see this as a blessing. A child is a gift." "Don't." Her voice was sharp. "Don't give me that traditional Nigerian nonsense about every child being a blessing. You're 27 with nothing. I'm 47 with everything to lose. This is not a blessing. This is a complication we need to handle." "Handle? What does that mean?" "It means I'm scheduling an appointment. Next week. It'll be quick, private." "No." Chinedu's voice was firm. "You can't." "Can't." Adiz's eyes flashed with anger. "Who do you think you are? This is my body, my choice, my life that will be ruined. And my child." His voice rose. "That's my child you're talking about ending. I know our arrangement isn't traditional. I know I'm just your sugar baby or whatever. But that doesn't change the fact that there's a life growing inside you. Our life. You're romanticizing this because you have nothing to lose. I'm the one who'll be judged. I'm the one whose business will suffer. I'm the one who'll be called a foolish old woman who let a young boy trap her with pregnancy. Is that what you think I did? Trapped you?" Chinedu felt sick. "You think I planned this?" "I don't know what to think." Adiz sank onto her couch, suddenly looking her age. I just know I can't do this. I won't. Chinedu knelt in front of her. Adiz, look at me. I'm not asking you to marry me or love me. I'm just asking you to give this child a chance. Let me step up. Let me be a real father. I never had money, but my parents loved me. That love sustained me even after they died. This baby could have that too. With what money? She asked bitterly. With what stability? You live in an apartment I pay for. You wear clothes I bought. The only reason you're not starving is because of our arrangement. How exactly do you plan to be a father? The words stung because they were true. But Chinedu refused to back down. I'll figure it out. I'll work harder, sell more art, find real jobs. I don't know how yet, but I'll figure it out. Just, please, don't make this decision out of fear. Adiz closed her eyes. She was silent for so long that Chinedu thought she'd fallen asleep. Then she spoke, her voice barely a whisper. Give me time. I need to think. Over the next 2 weeks, Adiz avoided him. No calls, no texts, no visits. Chinedu was going crazy with worry when she finally summoned him again. I've decided, she said without preamble. I'm keeping it. But not because of your speech. Because I went to the clinic and couldn't go through with it. I sat in that waiting room and realized that despite everything, the scandal, the judgment, the absolute insanity of this situation, I couldn't do it. Relief washed over Chinedu. Thank you, Adiz. Don't thank me yet. Her expression was grave. I'm keeping the pregnancy, but our arrangement is over. It has to be. You can stay in the apartment until you find something else. I'll help with your art career as promised. But we can't keep whatever this was. It's too complicated now. But what about the baby? What about us? There is no us, Chinedu. There never was. It was an arrangement, and now it's ending. I'll handle the pregnancy and child on my own. I'm a billionaire. I can afford nannies and support. You're free to be involved if you want, but I don't expect anything from you. Before Chinedu could respond, her phone rang. She glanced at it and her face went pale. What? How did they? She looked at Chinedu in horror. Someone leaked it. The blogs know. They're calling it Sugar Mummy Scandal. Billionaire CEO pregnant by broke artist, 20 years younger. As if on cue, Chinedu's phone exploded with notifications. Screenshots of blog posts. Texts from friends. Laughing emojis. Messages calling him a gigolo and pregnancy trapper. Their secret was out, and Lagos was about to tear them apart. Wait, what? The scandal is out. And Adiz is keeping the baby but ending their arrangement. If your heart is racing right now, smash that like button and subscribe to AfriTales By Annabelle. Comment, Team Adiz or Team Chinedu? Who's right here? Next chapter reveals how brutal the Lagos media can be, and a family secret that changes everything. Don't miss it. By morning, the story was everywhere. Not just blogs, newspapers, radio shows, social media. Everyone had an opinion about the Sugar Mummy CEO and her broke baby daddy. The headlines were savage. Billionaire boss lady, 47, caught up. Pregnant by 27-year-old street artist she was sponsoring. From sugar to baby. How young artist trapped Lagos billionaire with pregnancy. Nwosu Holdings CEO Adiz shame. Knocked up by boy toy young enough to be her son. Instagram blogs ran polls. Did he trap her or did she trap him? Comment sections exploded with judgment. Auntie is 47 trying to eat young boy. Now see what happened. This boy is a professional gigolo. He saw Sugar Mummy and did pregnancy business. That woman should be ashamed. Her own son is 25 and she's sleeping with 27-year-old? Tufi Aqua. Men always getting blamed. Maybe she wanted a baby and trapped him. Adiz's phone rang constantly. Board members, investors, family, journalists. She stopped answering. Her PR team went into crisis mode, issuing a terse statement. Chief Mrs. Nwosu's personal life is private. She remains fully committed to Nwosu Holdings. But the damage was done. That afternoon, an emergency board meeting was called. Adiz sat at the head of the conference table, her face a mask of composure, while 12 board members stared at her with varying degrees of disappointment and concern. "This scandal is affecting our stock price," Mr. Okonkwo, the CFO, said carefully. "Investors are nervous about leadership stability." "My private life has nothing to do with how I run this company," Adiz replied coolly. "With respect, Chief, it does when it becomes this public." Mrs. Ibrahim, another board member, leaned forward. "You're the face of this company. And right now, that face is associated with what? Being pregnant. Being a woman." "With poor judgment," Mr. Okonkwo finished bluntly. "A 27-year-old artist, Chief? Someone you were essentially paying for companionship. How does that look?" "It looks like my private business that you have no right to judge." But she could see it in their eyes. They were already discussing succession plans, contingencies, ways to distance the company from her embarrassment. Meanwhile, Chinedu faced his own nightmare. His phone wouldn't stop buzzing with calls from old friends, distant relatives, and strangers. "Guy, you don hammer," one friend texted. "That woman get money die. NA pregnancy business you run? Teach me your ways." His art career, just beginning to gain traction, collapsed overnight. The gallery that had agreed to showcase his work called to postpone indefinitely. An art collector who'd commissioned 3 paintings cancelled, saying the controversy wouldn't be good for my image. The worst came from his late mother's younger sister, Auntie Ngozi, who called from Enugu. "Chinedu, what is this nonsense I'm seeing on Facebook? You've become a gigolo. Your mother is turning in her grave." "Auntie, it's not like that." "Then what is it like? A woman old enough to be your mother, pregnant by you, and everyone saying she was paying you. Chai. Your parents sacrificed everything to send you to school, and this is what you've become." The shame burned. Because wasn't she right? Hadn't he sold himself? Hadn't he become exactly what everyone was calling him? 3 days after the scandal broke, Adiz's son Obiora flew in from London unannounced. Chinedu was at Adiz's mansion. She'd called him over to discuss logistics when Obiora stormed in. He was tall, light-skinned like his father, with expensive British style and rage in his eyes. "So this is him," Obiora said, looking Chinedu up and down with disgust. "The sugar baby who knocked up my mother." "Obiora, don't," Adiz started. "Don't what, Mum? Don't be angry that you're pregnant by someone my age? Don't be embarrassed that all my friends in London are sending me these ridiculous articles." His voice rose. "Do you know what they're calling you? A desperate old woman trying to relive her youth with a broke boy." "Watch your mouth," Adiz warned. "Or what? You'll do what exactly? You've already humiliated yourself and this family. Dad is having a field day with this, by the way. Says it proves you were always classless, that your new money could never buy real sophistication." That struck a nerve. Adiz stood, her voice cold. "Your father is a drunk who cheated his way through our marriage. I don't care what he thinks. But you care what I think, right? Or do I not matter anymore now that you're starting a new family with him?" Obiora glared at Chinedu. "How much is she paying you? Because that's what this is, right? A transaction." "It wasn't like that," Chinedu said quietly. "Then what was it like? Love?" Obiora laughed bitterly. "You expect me to believe you love a woman 20 years older than you? A woman who's been paying your rent?" "Yes," Chinedu said, surprising himself with the certainty. "I do love her. I know it started wrong, but somewhere along the way, it became real. I'm not proud of how we began, but I'm not ashamed of how I feel about her now." Adiz looked at him, shocked. They'd never said those words to each other. Obiora shook his head in disgust. "You're both delusional. This baby is going to be born into a scandal. Everyone will know its father is a gold digger and its mother is a foolish old woman. Congratulations." He stormed out, leaving silence in his wake. "Did you mean that?" Adiz asked quietly. "That you love me?" "I think I do," Chinedu admitted. I know it's crazy. I know I'm too young and too broke and this whole situation is impossible. But when you told me about the baby, all I could think was that I wanted to be there. Not for the money or the connections, but because I care about you. Chinedu, I'm 47 years old. I know how old you are. And I'm pregnant and being destroyed in the media and my own son hates me right now and I still love you. He took her hand. I don't know how we fix this. I don't know how we face Lagos. But I know I don't want to run away. Adiz wanted to believe him. But doubt gnawed at her. How could this be real? He was so young, with his whole life ahead. She was nearly 50, pregnant, and publicly humiliated. How could this possibly work? Before she could respond, her phone rang. Her lawyer. Chief, we have a problem, the lawyer said. A big one. I need you to come to the office immediately. And bring Chinedu. What's wrong? I'd rather explain in person. But Chief, it's about Chinedu's background. We ran a standard check after the scandal broke, just to protect you legally. And we found something. Something that changes everything. What are you talking about? The lawyer's voice was grave. Chinedu isn't who he thinks he is. And when you find out the truth, this scandal is going to get a whole lot more complicated. Oh no. What did the lawyer discover? Why does Chinedu's background change everything? If you're dying to know, smash that like button and subscribe to AfriTales By Annabelle. Comment. What do you think the secret is? The next chapter reveals the shocking DNA truth that will blow your mind. This is about to get insane. The lawyer's office was in Victoria Island, a sleek high-rise with Lagos Lagoon views. Barrister Chukwuma Onwurah was a man in his 60s, serious and methodical. When Adiz and Chinedu arrived, he had files spread across his massive desk. Thank you for coming, he said gravely. Please, sit. What I'm about to tell you will be shocking. Just say it, Adiz said impatiently. What did you find? Barrister Onwurah looked at Chinedu. Young man, what do you know about your father? Chinedu frowned. My father was a Buka Okafor. He was a trader at Alaba market. He died with my mother in a car accident 5 years ago. Why? And your mother? Tell me about her. Her name was Patience. She was a housemaid before she married my father. They met when she was working for some rich family in Victoria Island. That's all I know. She didn't talk much about her past. The lawyer's expression became even more grave. The rich family she worked for was the Nwosu family. Specifically, she worked as a housemaid for Chief Nwosu Sr., Adiz's late ex-husband and Obayora's father. The room went silent. What? Adiz whispered. When I ran background checks after the scandal broke, standard procedure to protect you legally, I discovered Chinedu's mother's employment history. That led me to dig deeper into old household records from the Nwosu estate. I found something troubling. In late 1996, Chief Nwosu made a significant payment to a woman named Patience Okafor, 5 million naira, which was substantial then. The payment note said settlement and silence. Chinedu's heart was pounding. Settlement for what? I had my suspicions, so I did something that might have been overstepping, but given the circumstances, I felt it necessary. I retrieved DNA samples from medical records, yours from the background check, and Chief Nwosu's from files kept after his death 5 years ago. He died of a heart attack, as you know, he nodded to Adiz. You ran DNA tests. Adiz's voice was barely audible. Without permission. I did. And the results? He pushed a document across the desk. Chief Nwosu is Chinedu's biological father. 99.9% probability. The world tilted. Chinedu grabbed the desk to steady himself. That's impossible. My father was a Buka. A Buka Okafor was the man who raised you, the lawyer said gently. But Chief Nwosu was your biological father. Your mother got pregnant while working as his housemaid. He paid her off, and she married a Buka, who agreed to raise you as his own. Based on the dates, you were born in January 1997, approximately 9 months after your mother left the Nwosu household. Adiz stood abruptly, pacing. No, this can't be real. Chief Nwosu never told you? The lawyer asked. He told me nothing. We were married from 1994 until our divorce in 2014. He never mentioned getting a housemaid pregnant. Her voice rose with each word. All those years he was cheating, and I never knew about this. Chinedu couldn't breathe. So Obiora is my half-brother? Yes. Same father, different mothers. And the baby Adiz is carrying is. Chinedu couldn't finish the sentence. Your child and Chief Nwosu's grandchild, the lawyer finished. Adiz sank back into her chair, her face pale. I've been sleeping with my late ex-husband's son. I'm pregnant with my ex-husband's grandchild. This is also a massive legal matter, Barrister Onwara continued. Chief Nwosu's will stipulates that his estate be divided between his legal heirs. Currently, that's Obiora, who inherited 40%, and you, Adiz, who retained 20% from the divorce settlement. The remaining 40% is held in trust for any other biological children who might be discovered. You're saying? Chinedu's voice shook. I'm saying you're entitled to 40% of Chief Nwosu's estate, which includes 40% of Nwosu holdings, various properties, investments, and cash assets. At current valuation, your inheritance would be approximately 12 billion naira. The room spun. 12 billion naira. Chinedu, who couldn't afford rent 3 months ago, was suddenly worth 12 billion naira. This changes everything, the lawyer said. The narrative shifts from poor sugar baby traps billionaire to secret heir reunites with stepmother. The media will have a field day, but in a completely different way. Stepmother, Adiz repeated, her voice hollow. He's my late husband's son, which technically makes me his stepmother. And I'm pregnant with his child. It's unconventional, certainly, but not illegal. You were divorced from Chief Nwosu for over a decade before meeting Chinedu. There's no blood relation between you two. Legally and morally, there's no barrier to your relationship, just significant awkwardness. Chinedu stood suddenly. I need air. I can't. I need to leave. He walked out, ignoring Adiz calling his name. For 2 days, Chinedu didn't answer his phone. He sat in his apartment, the apartment Adiz rented, he reminded himself bitterly, trying to process everything. His entire life was a lie. The man he'd called Papa wasn't his father. His real father was a billionaire who'd paid off his mother and never acknowledged him. And the woman he loved. The woman carrying his child. She was technically his late father's ex-wife. His phone buzzed constantly. News had leaked, of course it had. Nothing stayed secret in Lagos. The headlines shifted overnight. Plot twist. Billionaire's sugar baby actually secret heir to her ex-husband's fortune. From broke artist to billionaire. Chinedu Okafor's shocking DNA truth. Nwosu scandal deepens. CEO pregnant by late ex-husband's secret son. His phone rang. Obiora. Against his better judgment, Chinedu answered. Hello. So you're my brother. Obiora's voice was tight with emotion. My father's bastard son. I didn't know. Of course you didn't know. Nobody knew except my lying, cheating father who apparently couldn't keep it in his pants even with the housemaid. Obiora's voice cracked. Do you have any idea what this feels like? Finding out my father had another son. That you're entitled to his money. That my mother is pregnant with my brother's child. I never wanted any of this. But you have it anyway. 12 billion naira. Do you know what I had to do to earn my father's respect? The pressure I faced being the only heir. And now you waltz in, the poor struggling artist, and get half of everything without lifting a finger. You think I wanted to find out this way? You think I wanted to learn my whole life was a lie? Silence. Then Obiora's voice, quieter. No. I suppose you didn't. But that doesn't change what happens now. The will is clear. You're entitled to your share. My lawyers are already working on the transfer of assets. I don't want the money. Don't be stupid. Take the money. Use it. Start a real art career instead of whatever you were doing with my mother. Obiora paused. For what it's worth, I believe you didn't know. I believe this wasn't some elaborate con. But that doesn't mean I have to like you or accept you as family. He hung up. That evening, Adiz showed up at Chinedu's apartment. She looked exhausted, her usual polish gone. No makeup, hair in a simple ponytail, wearing jeans. He'd never seen her so casual. We need to talk, she said. About what? About how I'm your dead husband's son. About how messed up this entire situation is. About all of it. She sat on his couch uninvited. Chinedu, I've spent 2 days thinking. I can make this go away. I can pay you the inheritance, we can arrange custody of the baby when it's born, and you never have to see me again. Clean break. You'd be rich, free, and away from this scandal. Is that what you want? I want to do what's best for everyone. This situation it's too complicated. Society will never accept it. My son hates both of us. Your inheritance will always have this shadow over it. Maybe it's better to just end it cleanly. And what about what I want? Chinedu asked. What do you want? I want to be a father to my child. I want to figure out if what we had was real or just a transaction that spiraled out of control. I want to know if you actually care about me or if I was just convenient until I became inconvenient. Adiz's eyes filled with tears. I care about you. That's the problem. I shouldn't, but I do. And I don't know if that's real emotion or just guilt or hormones or some twisted Freudian nightmare because you're technically my stepson. I'm not your stepson. You divorced my father years before we met. We have no family relationship. But we do now. Through this baby. They sat in silence, the weight of impossibility crushing them both. I'm keeping my inheritance, Chinedu said finally. Not because I want revenge or to stake a claim. But because it's mine. My birthright that my father denied me. But I don't want it to come between us. Everything is between us, Chinedu. The age gap, the scandal, the family connection, the inheritance. How do we move forward? Together, he said simply. If you'll let me try. Wait, what? Chinedu is Chief Nwosu's secret son. He's a billionaire heir. And Obiora's half-brother. If your mind is blown right now, smash that like button and subscribe to AfriTales By Annabelle. Comment, did you see that coming? The final chapter shows how they handle this insane situation, and whether love can survive the truth. You cannot miss this ending. The inheritance process took 3 months. Lawyers, accountants, board meetings, media interviews. Through it all, Lagos watched with fascination as the sugar baby scandal transformed into the secret heir saga. Chinedu moved out of the Parkview apartment Adiz had rented and bought his own penthouse in Ikoyi with his new wealth. Not because he wanted distance, but because he needed to prove, to himself and the world, that he could stand on his own. His art career exploded. Not from Adiz's connections anymore, but from genuine interest. The billionaire artist became his unwanted nickname. His first exhibition sold out in hours, pieces going for millions. Critics who'd ignored him before suddenly praised his raw authenticity and profound emotional depth. But success felt hollow when the person he wanted to share it with was keeping him at arm's length. Adiz threw herself into work, her pregnancy hidden under loose-fitting designer clothes. The board, after learning about Chinedu's inheritance and rightful place as a major shareholder, suddenly became supportive. Family matters, they called it now, not scandal. But Adiz was drowning. At night, alone in her mansion, she'd place her hand on her growing belly and wonder what kind of world she was bringing a child into. A world where its parents' relationship defied every social norm. A world where its half-brother hated its existence. Obiora had returned to London, communication with his mother reduced to terse texts about business matters. He refused to discuss the baby or Chinedu. The rejection hurt more than Adiz wanted to admit. 4 months into the pregnancy, Adiz's younger sister Chiamaka visited from Abuja. She was the only family member who'd remained supportive, and she didn't mince words over dinner. "You look miserable," Chiamaka said bluntly. "I'm fine. You're pregnant, alone, and avoiding the father of your child who happens to be a billionaire heir in love with you. That's not fine, that's insane. The situation is impossible, Chiamaka. He's 27. I'm 47. I'm his father's ex-wife. You're also the woman he loves and the mother of his child. Since when do you let society tell you how to live? Since my choices affect an innocent baby. Your baby will be fine. You know what won't be fine? Growing up feeling like their existence was a mistake. Like their parents were too ashamed to be together." Chiamaka leaned forward. "Ada, you spent 20 years in a loveless marriage with a cheating drunk because society said divorce was shameful. Then you finally got free, built an empire, and proved everyone wrong. Are you really going to let those same people dictate your happiness again?" The words hit hard because they were true. That evening, Adiz went to Chinedu's new penthouse. He opened the door, surprise and hope warring on his face. "Can I come in?" she asked. His home was beautiful, minimalist, modern, with his paintings on the walls. He'd made it his own space, not the kept man's apartment she'd provided. "I'm sorry," she said without preamble. "For pushing you away. For treating this like another business problem to manage instead of us. There's an us." His voice was careful, guarded. "I want there to be. I'm terrified of what that means, of how people will judge us, of whether we can actually make this work. But I'm more terrified of my child growing up thinking I was too cowardly to try." Chinedu crossed the room and took her hands. "I'm scared too. I'm 27 years old about to be a father. I'm suddenly rich but still feel like the broke artist. I'm your late husband's son, which makes family gatherings going to be weird forever. But Adiz, I love you. Not your money, not your connections. You. The brilliant, stubborn, complicated woman who took a chance on a starving artist." "I took a chance on you as a sugar baby," she corrected with a wry smile. "And look how that turned out." He pressed his hand to her swollen belly. "Best investment you ever made." She laughed through tears. "Worst return on investment ever. I was supposed to get a young companion. Instead I got a co-parent, a business partner, and a man who makes me feel 20 again. Is that a bad thing?" "No," she admitted. "It's terrifying and wonderful and completely insane. But it's not bad." They stood there, forehead to forehead, finding peace in the chaos. The baby arrived in December, a boy they named Chimamanda. God knows my story. The birth was private, but the news spread quickly. Lagos society didn't know whether to congratulate or condemn them, so they did both. Surprisingly, it was Obiora who showed up at the hospital 2 days after the birth. He stood at the door to Adiz's private room, looking uncomfortable. "Can I come in?" he asked. Adiz, holding baby Chimamanda, nodded. Obiora approached slowly, looking at the infant. "He looks like Dad. The nose." "Yes," Adiz said softly. "I've been angry for months. At you, at Chinedu, at Dad for creating this mess even from the grave." Obiora's voice cracked. "But I realized something in London. My father was a terrible husband to you and an absent father to me. And despite that, you raised me, loved me, gave me everything. If you can find happiness with Chinedu, even if the world thinks it's crazy, maybe I should support that instead of making it harder." Tears streamed down Adiz's face. "Obiora. I'm not saying we're suddenly one big happy family. This is weird and will always be weird. But Chimamanda is my brother. And Chinedu is. I guess he's my brother too. So maybe we figure it out. Slowly." He held out his hand to Chinedu, who was sitting on the other side of the bed. After a moment, Chinedu shook it. Slowly, Chinedu agreed. 6 months later, Adiz and Chinedu made their relationship official in a private traditional ceremony. Not a big wedding, they'd had enough public spectacle for one lifetime, just close friends and family who'd stood by them. Chiamaka was there, wiping tears. Barrister Onwara attended, amused that his routine background check had led to this. Even Obiora came from London, holding baby Chimamanda during parts of the ceremony, looking uncomfortable but present. As Chinedu tied the traditional Aso oak fabric around Adi's waist, sealing their union, she thought about the journey that had brought them here. From a transactional arrangement to genuine love. From a scandal to a family. From sugar mummy and sugar baby to partners in every sense. You know people will still talk, she whispered to him during the reception. Let them, Chinedu replied, pulling her close despite her protests about their audience. I spent my whole life invisible and poor. Then I was your secret sugar baby. Then I became the scandal. Now I'm just a man who loves his wife and his son. They can call it whatever they want. At the edge of the celebration, Obiora watched his mother dance with Chinedu, holding Chimamanda. A strange family, certainly. Unconventional in every way. But watching them laugh together, seeing genuine joy on his mother's face for the first time in years, he had to admit, maybe unconventional wasn't wrong. Maybe it was just different. And maybe different was exactly what they all needed. 2 years later, Chinedu's second art exhibition opening was at the prestigious Nike Art Gallery. His work had evolved, bold, raw pieces exploring themes of identity, legacy, and unconventional love. Critics called him one of Nigeria's most important emerging artists. Adi stood in the gallery, now 49, watching patrons admire her husband's work. Chimamanda, nearly 3, was with his nanny at home. Obiora had flown in from London and was actually helping manage the event's business side. You did it, Adiz said to Chinedu during a quiet moment. Made it on your own terms. We did it, he corrected. I couldn't have gotten here without you taking that first chance. I was taking advantage of a desperate young artist, she teased. And I was taking advantage of a lonely billionaire. Look how that turned out. She laughed, the sound free and genuine. So, no regrets. Chinedu looked at her, the woman who'd changed his life in ways he never imagined. The sugar mummy who became his lover, his partner, his wife. The woman 20 years older who society said he shouldn't love but whom he couldn't imagine living without. Not one, he said, kissing her softly, not caring who saw. Because in the end, Lagos society could whisper all they wanted. They could call it scandal, call it inappropriate, call it whatever made them comfortable. But Chinedu and Adiz knew the truth. Sometimes love finds you in the most unexpected places. Sometimes it breaks every rule and defies every expectation. Sometimes it starts as a transaction and becomes the realest thing you've ever known. And sometimes, just sometimes, the poor man who accidentally got his billionaire sugar mummy pregnant gets the greatest gift of all, a family built not on expectations or conventions, but on choice, courage, and love. The end. **** Wow. From sugar mummy arrangement to true love and family. From scandal to success. If this story touched your heart, smash that like button and subscribe to AfriTales By Annabelle for more incredible stories that break all the rules. Comment below, what was your favorite part? The DNA reveal. Obiora's acceptance. The happy ending. Let us know. Share this video with someone who believes love can conquer anything. Age gaps, scandals, and society's judgment. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our next amazing story. Remember, love doesn't follow society's rules. It writes its own story. And sometimes, the most unconventional love stories are the most beautiful. Thank you for joining us on this wild journey. This is AfriTales By Annabelle, where every story proves that the heart wants what it wants, no matter what Lagos says. Until next time, keep believing in love, keep breaking rules, and keep writing your own story. God bless you all. Red Heart ****.